living free. Robert Ferguson's got the plan you need. With diet-free life, it's the key. No more starving, getting rid of inflammation. Choosing healthy choices, providing you with sound information. Bringing balance to hormones and insulin through food. With DFL, teaching you food choices to see you through. DFL, we're teaching you to eat food right. Teaching you to pair food with each bite. Balancing our body's microbiome, feeling so right. With diet-free life, it helps futures lose pride.
What's up, everybody? Yes, this is Robert Ferguson, your nutritionist, a guy who shares because I care. And today is no different. It really isn't. What's up, Sharon? I'm glad you caught this because this is going to be a good one. And I hope a lot of people get a chance to spend time with me on this one because I'm going to share additional insight that usually only my clients are privy to get this information. And I say that because there's quite a few people who are out in the world promising weight loss, and they're not totally clear. And I'm about to up their game for those who get to spend some time with me today. But I'm not doing it for them. Well, actually, I am, because it's like it bothers me when I see people say that weight loss is all about eating less calories, moving more so you burn more calories. And we know that's a lie. So there's quite a few people that are respected that are in full agreement with that fact. And that's a fact. Unfortunately, most people have no clue about it. So we're talking about giving people an opportunity to have clarity. Now, some of you who are going to watch this video, you're going to learn about certain things around weight loss that you didn't know. And what's interesting is that it's going to help you realize that what you've been told by certain people is not real. So I want to go slow enough so that everybody gets it. You know what I mean? Like some of you are going to pick it up really fast and some of you aren't. And some of you will just want to remain in denial. But I've written articles on this. Everything I'm going to share is substantiated. It's real biology. And the thing that blows my mind when I talk to people or I hear people talk about weight loss is how ignorant they are. And I'm talking about the leaders, because there's quite a few leaders out there that are inspiring people and are making claims and talking about how you lose weight and what's important. And unfortunately, they are not sharing accurate information. They're not. So stay with me. I'm not going to drag this out. I want to really get right to it. But I want to invite you to look under the description. I have quite a few links available. So like if you wanted a free consultation with me, let's say you are ready to be successful, I'm available. And I have some VIP discounted programs that may be available when you reach out. Some of you may be interested in like a free presentation I have. Some of you are interested in this balanced oil that I endorse. I believe it is the number one supplement that everybody benefits from. And if you're catching me on this amazing day, Friday, we have less than 24 hours where you can actually buy one product and you'll get one free. You could literally get the test that I talk about as far as your omega-6 to 3 ratios. If you buy one with this special, you get one free. What a great opportunity. So if you want to learn more, just email me and I'll give you more information, or reach out to a person who you believe endorses it and they sell it. But that is a supplement that everybody benefits from. I can't say that about all supplements. In my career, I've endorsed 2. And this supplement by far is the most important supplement that everybody who will ever listen to this, I don't care what you do, what's your profession, male, female, tall, wide, doesn't matter. Everybody needs this. And if you're in the space of health and nutrition and you didn't know about this product, learn about it, because there's no way you could be in this profession and not recommend this product. I mean, anyway, we're going to get into why people struggle with weight loss. And I don't want to lose sight on that. And then I have a newsletter. I'll just stop there. It's free. Sign up for it. So then you'll get emails, updates, recipes, things like that can be beneficial for not only you, but for people you come in contact with, to include your family and loved ones. Okay. Weight loss. If it's not about calories, then it must be about sugar. It's not about sugar. Nope. Like, I watch people wearing continuous glucose monitors. And it's cool, but that's false. That's one of the biggest scams I've seen recently, because monitoring your glucose is like a game, which can be fun. I do believe it helps people become mindful. But as you focus on sugar or glucose, right, sugar in your blood, that is false. And so for those of you who are trainers, nutritionists, and you're pushing this, I invite you, we could do a live one-on-one. And I'm very confident that I will help you realize that you have given people a false sense of security. Am I saying that sugar is not important? I'm not saying that. But you have them looking at the wrong thing, because it's not the sugar that's causing people to gain weight. It's the role of the hormone insulin that is the primary driver for why people are gaining weight and why most of you have a struggle to lose weight. So in conversation with a couple of my clients this morning, I said, hey, I'm going to do a video on this today. I'm going to share it because I don't want to keep the information. I want more and more people to know it. And it's starting to get out there more and more. But I'm going to do it in a way where I hope you realize that by getting this information and applying it, it's going to be the game changer. So for the clients that I work with regularly, they're doing well. Some of you I've worked with on your own break. I'm not sure exactly what you're doing. I hope you wake up and just get back on track. If something's working, you keep doing it. So I already know some of my clients, they're off, they're on pause. I guarantee you, and I'm not wishing this on any of you, I guarantee you though, and I would love to be wrong, but you will be heavier and you will be in a worse situation. And because you're getting off track, you're distracted. And I'm not saying this to be mean. I'm hoping to inspire you to like wake up and email me, contact me so it doesn't get worse. If you let it get worse, sometimes it's kind of hard to turn it back around. And then what happens is you get into this habit of like, well, let me just drop 5 pounds before I call Robert. Well, you know what? Let me just get some momentum before you're getting in your own way. You're getting in your own way. And hopefully I will inspire you with what I'm going to share today that's going to help you. Okay. It's a reminder of the truth. The focus is on understanding the role of insulin, not sugar, not calories. I'm going to prove my point. Okay. Let me see. Let me be the one. You guys ever heard that song? That was a great song. Okay. I'm going to use this slide. See, when you look at insulin is a hormone that is primarily known for its relationship with diabetes. That's what it's primarily known for. However, insulin is a very important hormone. It really is. And in every cell of your body, there is a receptor for the hormone insulin. See, I covered this we went into great detail on what I'm sharing with you now in our Food is Medicine course. That's why I was like, you know what? I got to share something from that. So I'm going to share a little bit of that here. And we went into great detail. So if you want a course and you want to really understand a whole bunch of stuff like modern day, then there's a link provided for the food as medicine, right? It's on demand now. So when you sign up for it, you'll have access to it. Okay. But I want everybody to get this. So insulin is primarily known for helping to get sugar out of the blood and into the cells. That's what it's primarily known for. Now, with every cell, it has different actions and it may be doing different things. But we can all agree that it plays a huge role in controlling how energy is utilized at the cellular level. So if you ate broccoli, for instance, when you eat the broccoli, eventually it breaks down because it is a carbohydrate and it becomes sugar in the blood. And insulin's job is to leave the pancreas, get that sugar, go to cells, let's say a fat cell, knock on the door of the fat cell. And then the door at the fat cell opens up and then sugar can go inside, which is great. Now, what happens when sugar builds up in the blood is it can create a lot of problems. Increased risk for heart attack, stroke. If it builds up long enough, you could go into coma. You could find yourself, losing feeling in your fingers and your toes. You could go blind. So thank God we have insulin to help get the sugar out of the blood and into the cells. So thank you, insulin, for doing that. Now, there's a thing called insulin resistance, which a large majority of you who are struggling with weight loss, or why weight loss is more difficult, is when the cells are not receptive. So for insulin, you have glucose, sugar floating around the blood. Insulin goes and basically grabs that sugar and says, we got to get you out of the blood. So let's take you to the cells. Goes to the cells, knocks on the door, bams on the door, and the cell is resistant to open up the door. This is called insulin resistance. So more insulin comes out and they push through that door just to get the sugar in. So now you're causing more insulin to be circulating. And then it takes more insulin and more insulin and more insulin to get the sugar out of the blood and into the cells. That's insulin resistance. That's not good. Now, you can have insulin resistance and not have high blood sugar, meaning your hemoglobin A1C is normal. You check your fasting glucose, it's normal. See, by the time the glucose is not normal and is rising, or the hemoglobin A1C is rising, you've had insulin resistance for a while. You've had it for a while. That's not good. And the reason why you've had it for a while is because when you go to the doctor, they check your sugar levels, but they don't check your insulin levels. And it only makes sense that if you check the insulin levels, you would never get to the place where your sugar levels are bad. Okay. So I think we're doing good. And if anybody's catching me live, let me know when we're doing good and it's making sense. So now we're going to bring in the insulin part. Okay. So let's take a look at this. So insulin, when you have it elevated, it's called hyperinsulinemia. Hyper meaning up, like elevated. Insulin is the hormone. And emia means in the blood. And as you can see here, from stroke to high blood pressure, which I just wrote an article on, because insulin resistance is the primary reason you have high blood pressure. Migraines, people are experiencing on a regular basis. Fatty liver, PCOS, Alzheimer's, erectile dysfunction, and the list goes on and on and on. But again, your doctor's not checking for this. It's called hyperinsulinemia. That's the problem when you have elevated insulin. Now, before I drive this home, let me bring clarity to a couple of things. And it's important to remember this part. Whenever insulin is elevated in your blood, your fat cells, let's say that this is a fat cell right here. Your fat cells, if they open up, they can release fat to leave and be burned, right? But the fat cell, when insulin is elevated, so my hand being insulin, it's in the blood, the fat cell will never open up. You will not release fat as long as insulin is present. We know that in human beings. We know that in animals. We know that in petri dishes. If insulin is here, it's waiting, fat cell is not going to open. But when insulin levels are down, that fat cell will open and you can release that fat. So if you have insulin resistance and you constantly are eating in a way where insulin is elevated, no wonder you're having a hard time dropping body fat. And a lot of times you're looking at sugar wondering what's the problem. The problem is not sugar. The problem is elevated insulin. Okay, I've written articles on this, all substantiated. I've provided bibliography. I mean, this is science. No one can argue this if they understand the hormone insulin, the peptide insulin. Now, I've heard some people recently talk about GLP-1 supplements and things like this. If you're buying that, you're being lied to. Concrete, solid studies demonstrate, even though you'll read it on the box with Novo Nordisk, Wegovy, Ozempic, and even those medications, they'll talk about GLP-1, and I can show you the science of this. I've talked about it in past videos. But GLP-1 by itself as a peptide, a hormone, an incretin, which is what it is, does not always stimulate insulin. Now, if you're taking something that stimulates insulin and you understand insulin resistance, you don't want to stimulate insulin, because every time insulin is elevated, that means you can't release fat. So that's not a good thing. And every time, if it's not just fat, migraines, erectile dysfunction, other negatives will come about, you guys. This is what I want everyone to get. And for some reason, even a lot of the experts are not explaining it in a way that everyday person will get it. And one of my gifts in life is to explain things in a way where the everyday person can get it, right? Because I'm not here to do a presentation for my constituents, for other experts, and using the right big words, right, and go clinical. No. I want everyday people to get this. And so to help you get it, it's important to know the role of insulin. And if insulin is elevated, you can work out all you want. Think about all the people that you see working out all the time. They tell you that they're eating better. They track their food. They watch their calories. They promise the world. They just totally don't understand the role of insulin when it comes to losing weight. And many of these people are in front. They're the influencers. They're the fitness trainers, the people doing seminars. How do I know this? Because they're my clients. A lot of physicians are my clients. A lot of personal trainers are my clients. A lot of dietitians are my clients. I'm telling you, these people, and I watch them on YouTube, I see them on Facebook, and they're just lying. And some of them are lying. Some of them are just ignorant. They're just unaware. So doing this video will help them go, oh, let me look into this. They don't got to give me credit. But damn, quit lying to people. Quit sharing information that's not accurate. And if I'm not accurate, I can't wait for someone to beat me up, because my goal is really to share information. That's where the goal is. Accurate information. If insulin is present, that fat cell's not letting go. Insulin is the primary driver for a whole bunch of conditions, elevated insulin. And once you have insulin resistance, it gets worse, because when you eat, and so let's say insulin goes up, it usually stays up and starts to decline and back down to flatline where it started in about 3 hours. We've known this because they've done multiple tests, multiple sites every time. But if you have insulin resistance, insulin will go up, and while it's up, you can't release fat. It will stay up for longer than 3 hours. Sometimes 6, 7, 8. I've seen studies 10 hours. And if you ate again, that means it stays up. It just bumps it up. It stays up. So you're doing everything right, and you're wondering, why can't I lose weight? And you could, because you'll say, well, I know somebody that lost weight. Right? There's a diet called Optavia or something, and that's like one of the worst diets I've ever seen. And they're eating 6 times a day, and every time they're eating, they're stimulating insulin. We know they're stimulating insulin because that's just what happens. And the further the food is from nature, the more insulin spike you're going to get. And this is where it gets interesting. Okay, so let me show you my screen. Okay, I'm going to go. Let's understand what I mean by close to nature. When you eat close to nature, you see the apple in the far left corner? That is close to nature, meaning you can grab that off a tree. You can get it at the grocery store. That apple, it grows to that apple. That's nature. When you look at the apple slices, that's no longer nature, right? Because you don't grow apple slices, but it's pretty damn close to nature because all you did was chop it up. So that's minimal, right? Minimal processing. When you look at applesauce, that's now pretty far from nature. And the further it is from nature, the more insulin gets released. Apple juice is even further from nature. And I'm going to show you a scientific study. Right? These aren't just words, you guys. Everything I do, it must be substantiated. And once you're informed, you're informed. I'm telling you, I'm watching people work their butt off to get their blood pressure down, to lose weight. They got people giving them information that is not accurate. And they don't know any better because they want to believe these people. They pay these people money. Right? Some people spend a lot of money and they get mad when they find out that they've been, misinformed. Well, from the apple juice to the apple pie at McDonald's, that's extremely far from nature. And as it goes from left to right, more insulin is secreted when you eat it, which means harder to lose weight. I don't care about the calories. Okay, now it's about to get interesting. Here's a study that I did. I did a survey, and this is a game changer for most people I present to. I am aware that these people, when I did a study, they were aware of glucose response, meaning you eat food, it breaks down, becomes sugar in the blood. We can measure the glucose response. And in our food as medicine program, I showed everyone the foundational slides, the real studies of when this was done going back into the 60s. And if you look at the insulin response, and if you understand the importance and the role of insulin, this is the game changer. So I would ask people, which of these two foods causes the greater insulin response? You have the hamburger patty to the left. You have the fruit from the right. Every time I've done this survey, everyone, 100% of the people say the fruit because their mind is so focused on sugar that they just assume that's protein, that's sugar. That's what's going to cause a greater insulin response. I did not say glucose response. We are not talking sugar. We're talking insulin response, you guys. Insulin response. 100% of dietitians, physicians, nurses, personal trainers, health coaches all got it wrong. It's the hamburger patty. If that was filet mignon or a cut of steak where it was never broken up and then put back together, because if it's broken up and then put back together, that's far from nature. A hamburger patty is far from nature. That fruit is not far from nature. So when something's far from nature, you're going to get a greater insulin response. That's why I showed you guys the apple, the applesauce, the apple juice. Now think about all the people that you may be aware of that are out there drinking celery juice. Now don't get mad at me because eating celery is one thing and drinking it is something else. You may have a lower glucose response when you eat celery, but you're going to have a higher insulin response when you drink it. because when you eat it, you have lower insulin response, is what I meant. When you drink it, higher insulin response. But if you're looking at sugar response, my point is, to correct myself, is that they're basically going to be about the same. So you will have a lot of dietitians, nutritionists that will say, whether you eat the apple or drink the apple, whether you eat the celery or drink the celery, whether you eat the carrots or drink the carrots, based on the glycemic, which is sugar response, glucose response, they're the same. What they continue to not get is that it's not about the sugar response, it's about the insulin response. I need you guys to share this. We need more people to become aware of this. Seriously. Okay. So let's go to the next slide. Now, this one you'll find interesting. Okay. So let me move myself. All right. So the glycemic index, which is again looking at the sugar response, was created in 1981 for diabetics. And it was based on consuming 50 grams of carbs at a single time. Okay, a single food. And then when you consumed it, they would track in your blood how fast that food broke down and became sugar in the blood. And they would track it for over a 3-hour period. And then whatever was the highest, that was the baseline. So sugar is the baseline. And as you can see, it's at 100. A white potato is at 95. So people stopped eating white potatoes, which is not good. But the same amount of carbs in potato chips, which is in a package that's highly processed, very far from nature, is better on your sugar because you can see it is at a 55. So if you keep living your life based on sugar response, you will continue to miss what's most important, and that is the insulin response. Let me show you something. If you flip that to the insulin index, which we have the best one right now available. So you only can get access to this through our programs or working with our coaches, to include myself. The white potato is a 55. The potato chips is a 95. See what just happened? Because we're looking at the insulin response. If you look at the sugar response, it's a total flip. And higher does not mean better. Higher is worse. So sugar response, insulin response. The more processed a food is, the greater the insulin secretion or insulin spike, which is the driver for a lot of the problems people have, to include making it more difficult for you to lose weight. Now, Sharon asked a question, and I'm going to go back because this is a great question. She says, what about steak versus fruit? It would be completely different. A steak is still in its natural state. So it would flip-flop. I would put on the fruit. The further from nature, a steak is completely different. That's like still in its natural state. You just cut a piece of it off of an animal. You didn't deconstruct and break it up and then push it back together. That's far from nature. A steak is a cut, like bacon is a slice. It's a thin slice. Sodium added, hung to dry. I'm going to eat. It's still in its natural state. If I get bacon that's soy bacon or turkey bacon or chicken bacon, the chickens and the turkeys aren't big enough to cut them and they're still in their natural state. You had to take scraps and then push it back together to create something. Think about what I just said. Like, you got a lot of people walking around and they think that turkey bacon is better than regular bacon. It's not. Then you have people say, well, turkey bacon is not as high in sodium. Okay, what's the concern with sodium? Now we're looking at another myth. It's like we live in a world where everyone's walking around like zombies. Seriously. because we don't question enough. Turkey bacon is far from nature. Chicken bacon is far from nature. So you're going to have a bigger insulin secretion. So just eat regular damn bacon. Now, uncured bacon, now we start looking at the process and what they can do to the bacons. Okay. But regular bacon would be way healthier for you. I mean, I like Canadian bacon. Uncured bacon is way better for you than the turkey bacons, the chicken bacons, the soy bacons, because they're far from nature. They're foreign. And inside of your intestinal tract, you have these cells, these dense population of cells, where you have this secretion, this wake up of these hormones, peptides, these incretins called GLP-1 and GIP. So fascinating. So now let me show you something. Here's a little bit of evidence. Okay, I want you to look real close at this as I walk you through it. So on the left, you have that GI equals 38. Then you have the GI equals 41. That GI is for glycemic index. So you're on the left, we're looking at the glucose response on the left. So whether you eat 50 grams of an apple or you drink 50 grams of apple juice, the numbers are pretty much the same. 3841 is the same. But if you look at this same study that was published back in 1977 in The Lancet, one of the most respected medical journals in the world, you can see a significant difference between eating an apple and drinking apple juice. Well, I mean, what else Sharon, help me understand, what else do I need to do to explain this so people don't get ripped off by the supplement industry selling GLP-1 crap and people believe it and just like walking around like just stupid. And you got a lot of people like going to fight me on it because they make money off of it. Instead of acknowledging it, just acknowledge the damn truth. But you can't acknowledge the truth when you don't have the facts or the information. You just go, oh, and you believe what they did because they're going to have something to substantiate what they're putting out there. If people had the truth that's like hardcore truth about supplements or whatever it is that can help people, everybody be running after it. Every person that I've ever met since I started endorsing the Balance Oil, every cardiologist, every biochemist, every nurse, every dietitian, when I have time and I can show them the data, show them the studies, and they thoroughly understand the importance of omega-3, because you can't go talk to a guy who's a drunk on the corner and think you're going to get him to see the light. I mean, he could be a smart drunk and just happen to be homeless I don't know. But here's the reality. Once you know, you can't unsee that. This is the truth. Once you understand the role of insulin, it's the truth. So the other day when I had these two cardiologists on the phone for 3 hours, and they were pushing against me and really going against because it was new information to them, but they cared and we're doing business together. So they pushed and they pushed and they pushed. And when we were done, one of them became my client. Both of them bought the Balance Oil and got the Balance test. Why? Because it makes sense. Lord, help us. It's like you can, I mean, I get it, right? What helps me stay grounded is I think about Jesus and all the stories in the Bible, the Old Testament, the New Testament, the Quran, all the stories. I love it. But what Jesus, why I bring him up is that they watched him walk on water with their own eyes. And Jesus told Peter, you're going to denounce me 3 times. And he did. Now, I don't know about you, but if I watch someone walk on water and I see all the other things that he demonstrated that they witnessed with their own eyes, they saw the evidence clearer, they still had a hard time until he did what some people say was the inevitable, was die and come back in 3 days. He had to go through all of that, even though they saw all the evidence. So I can show you this evidence. I can show you, we can talk about it. And at the end of the day, is it going to change anything? Help me understand how I can help more people. Okay, let's see what Sharon's great. She's helping me here. Sharon says, I love the clarity about staying close to nature. Have I ever shared that with you before, Sharon? Sharon's my client, by the way, and she's a great client. She says, I made my delicious pumpkin pie for Thanksgiving using lard in the crust. Good job. Good job, Sharon. That makes me smile. She goes, but it was still pumpkin pie. Insulin undoubtedly through the roof. Probably. But then you just get back on track the next day. It's all good. Let me see. So then Sharon asks, what's the best way to come back into balance? Well, with your next meal and your next snack, you're back on track. Remember that. With your next meal and your next snack, you're back on track. With your next meal and your next snack, you're back on track. That's when you bring in the psychology of what we do, right? The philosophy, the way of thinking, the mindset. See, people in a diet mentality, it's all or nothing most of the time. Does that mean I'm never going to have like pie? Does that mean I'm never going to go eat my mom's fried? Now we're going to use the best oil, same as you're using lard. And I'm going to eat a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I may not like what the scale says. I may not even like how I feel that evening. But the next day I'm literally back because almost everything else is like shaped around my life that guides it. See, we live in a world also where you have a lot of people who have they just have false information. They get in their own way and they get blinded. Sometimes they get blinded by celebrities or like they look up to a person a certain way. See, Sharon is not that kind of person. She may respect me, but she doesn't just take my word for it. I mean, we don't agree politically, but that's okay. I've had different experiences that have taken me to a point to I believe the way I believe, and same with her. But one of the things I like about nutrition is that we can get down to the nitty gritty. You cannot argue that elevated insulin is not the primary driver because we know before you are type 2 diabetic, you had to have had elevated insulin. You had to have had insulin resistance before you're a type 2 diabetic. You cannot be a type 2 diabetic without first having insulin resistance. You cannot. Like, we know that. There is no argument to that. So that clear, why are everybody looking at sugar? Because the media, because the industry, they have designed it that way. It drives everything as far as money. And unless you cut through, and I have a whole story on how I was able to cut through. I didn't just wake up and know this, because if you go back to 2005, when I coached Sharon in 2002, the first time, I was just like most people talking about sugar. My entire methodology was framed around eat in a way that keeps the sugar from going too high and from dropping too low. And that's what I called fat burning mode. I was there like a lot of people who are lost. And after doing a tour where I went to 20 cities and meeting people, and I started seeing the same person who wasn't getting results with my program, they all started looking alike. I then challenged myself and says, okay, don't be okay. with what you have put out there on a national level, international level. I went and challenged myself. And that's when I discovered in great detail insulin resistance. And I ate crow, and I don't mind eating it right now. I wish every person up until that, which is a lot of people, hundreds of thousands of people, that I have encouraged years ago to eat every 2 to 3 hours. Well, guess what? The ones who got the great results, they didn't have insulin resistance then. But guess what? When you eat every 2 to 3 hours, you will develop insulin resistance. You could lose a weight and develop a problem. I've lived it. I can be honest about it. My goal is to talk about it more and more and more, what I know to be true. Because if I had focused on insulin and not glucose back then, I would have never put people in a position to develop insulin resistance. I would have never gotten people in a position to develop insulin resistance. I have that pedigree. I have that background. I have the proof. I did the work. I earned the right to be at this point right here where I can help more people with the truth. So, of course, I'm frustrated when I see people out there selling junk and lying to people. Of course, I'm upset. Because some of those people will never discover the truth. Some of those people will never win. They will never win this part of their life. They will die. As my mom told me years ago, I'm afraid I'm going to die in my fat, meaning that I never was able to be successful at losing the weight and having a lifestyle. And a lot of you jumping around a different crap and just believing anything. And those people who contribute to all that, they're selling these GLP-1 supplement lies. Give me a break. I've done the work. Because if it was all that coming from these companies that are creditable, why are they just now selling GLP-1 supplements? Something I've been studying since 2010, 14 years ago. How in the hell are they just like, did it just come out of nowhere? It's called trends and marketing and selling to the fools, selling to people who don't know how to think, or they're just ignorant, they're uninformed, they don't have a clue, and they're preyed upon because you're tired of being overweight. You want success, you're tired, you're frustrated. I get it, and it's not your fault, but the reality is it is your fault if you continue to stay ignorant, especially if you're hearing my words. Go do your own due diligence, go do your research, or email me and I'll send you a hell of a lot of studies to how I got to where I am. That's why people hire a coach. Because you want to hire someone, hopefully it's the right coach, that actually has done the work. That's why I'm happy to have new coaches, old coaches, coaches who have grown with me and stayed with me. And they watch me pivot because I'm playing the role of leadership. If Amy Prime becomes my coach after being a client years ago, for now 14, 15 years, and she saw me go from the focus on blood sugar to the importance of insulin, and she's still there. Susie's still there. Linda's still there. Linda lost weight eating every 2 to 3 hours. Unfortunately, gained some weight back. Never had a problem with her glucose levels. And now she went from 249 to 129. She's running with it. Because I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to be transparent. And I'm never going to just be okay just being okay. All right. So before we get out of here, because I rambled a little bit, let's see what Sharon's always got good at. We need to do another show with Sharon. She says, I have a different question. I got my sister on the balance oil, but she wants me to get her ARIDS again. I'm not sure what that means. Is there research comparing these? I'm not sure what you mean, but you can call me. I'm free today. I'm free. Just give me a call, Sharon, and we can talk about that. I'm sure if there's a way, we'll figure it out. Okay. All right, so Sharon's going to get back on track. Okay. And then Sharon said that my blood test, actually, Sharon's great because I asked her to get her fasting insulin. And most of the time when you go to your doctor to get your fasting insulin, they will assume you mean fasting glucose. But Sharon, when you live life long enough, you don't put up with much. And so she fought for it and she got her fasting insulin test. And it did get better. So now let me read. She says, my blood tests say my insulin now is down. And the balance test has my omega back in balance. Wow. I did not get back today, but I am encouraged. This is great. So, okay. I am seeing people with the balance oil. I mean, a year from now, it's going to be interesting to see where we all end up. It's going to be interesting to see. And I say that because when you've coached as many people as I've coached, you get to see a lot of people die prematurely. And I just got a phone call, a text message yesterday when I shared one of my articles to some clients. And one of my clients, I'm not going to mention her name, but her friend, or let's say boyfriend, was also my client at one point. And I remember talking to him and he just wouldn't stick with the plan. I mean, this guy's in his 50s. And so she was paying for it. I believe she was paying for it, or he was paying for it. Yeah, for a while he was paying for it. So then he decided to give up his coaching with me. And he said, I'll keep paying for it and she can get it. So I started working with her and then she wanted to pay for it herself. So then we switched to where she could pay for it. And I had them in a very discounted program. So they're not paying. It wasn't that expensive. So it's something they could stay with, especially if they're serious, right? Well, he's dead now. Yeah. She texted me yesterday and he's gone. And she wanted to let me know. Sudden heart attack. If you follow my videos, you will see I'm constantly talking about friends, past clients. It's never current clients. It's always past clients that I find out died prematurely. And it's usually heart attack or a massive stroke, or they died in their sleep, blood clot, heart attack while they're sleeping. And it's always people that were on track to make progress, and then they get off track. And if I stay in touch long enough, I'll hear that they're either back to being a type 2 diabetic, they are in the hospital, they're losing limbs, they're on dialysis. And this is not trying to sell my program. This is what I'm experiencing. So yeah. And I like this guy. Great guy. And I remember trying to talk him out of it. I was like, I think, you guys can both. I think it's great. If you're a couple, I can coach both of you. And if you're both on track, I did all of that. He wasn't hearing it. So I guess he went about a year, maybe year and a half on his reckless behavior, unfortunately. And I say that with love and grace because I respect him and love him and had great times with him. So I'm not being mean. But he's gone. This guy's not even 60 years old. I mean, imagine, let's say he paid me $1,000 a year to be his coach. Let's say he paid me $5,000 a year to be his coach. Do you think he would pay that to be alive today? Yeah. They all say that. If they could. All of them. So you tell me, man. I know what I know. And when you've done this long enough with as many people as I've done it with, you know when you know. And as my old friend used to say, Daniel Baldwin, when you don't know you better ask somebody. I'm Robert Ferguson. I broke it down, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this time. Remember, subscribe to my YouTube channel. because you can always listen while you're washing dishes, or you're going on a trip, going for a walk. And my goal is to share something that will inspire you, also add to your knowledge, and put you in a position to win. My goal is never to make you feel worse. My goal is to lift you and to provide insight that may not be something everywhere else. And at the end of the day, I know that when you take action and you do the things that I'm constantly recommending, I know that I'm contributing toward the big picture for you. And if I discover that what I'm sharing is not real, is not accurate, I'm open to being corrected, because then I can correct everybody else. That's why I love the fact that everything I share is clinically proven. It's not just in theory. It's not my opinion. We've proven it with third parties in place. So it's not up for, like, I don't want it up for debate. But what I share with you today is some good information. And for those of you who are personal trainers and health coaches and you trying to help people, just be honest. I mean, shit, be honest. Quit spreading information that is taking people down a road, because I see it. I watch these network marketers, and they're with one company, then 8 months later, then another one, 4 years later, another one. Well, if what you were promoting and preaching, on that other one, how could you walk away? Like I'll end on this. I couldn't even imagine if I was not endorsing or in a position to endorse this product, the balance oil. I'm always going to promote it. Whether if they kicked me out and I couldn't endorse it and make it part of my business, I'm still going to endorse it. The same as I will endorse BioCell, liquid collagen. When it's real, it's real. A lot of people, it's real when they're making money, and then they forget about it because they're off to something else is real because they're making money over there. That's why the balance one, I watch people who say they're all about health and nutrition. I watch them, and I've told a few people, couple of celebrities, influencers, but they don't care. They can only think about themselves, whether they sold it or what. And you just watch it. And I look at their actions. Just look at their actions. How can you not share something that is so needed? Anyway, if anybody wants to reach out to me, I'll connect you. We got a little bit of time for you to get the special. I mean, I bought extra for myself because, when I bought 5 bottles the other day, I bought 5 bottles as a customer because I'm getting 5 bottles free. I know the importance of it, and I like having it so that I can give it to someone, maybe as a gift for the Christmas. I don't know, but why not? Great deal for me. So anyway, I'm Robert Ferguson. I share because I care, and that's never going to change. And Sharon, if you want to reach out to me, reach out to me. We can talk about it. But for now, I am out of here, you guys. Have a great rest of your weekend, and God bless. I got to go. Here we go, and make it happen.
Bringing balance to hormones and insulin through food. With DFL, teaching you food choices to see it through. DFL, we're teaching you to eat food right. Teaching you to pair food with each bite. Balancing our body's microbiome, feeling so right. With diet-free life, it helps feel